Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me here today. I am Miki Feldman-Simon. I am the founder of I Am Back at Work, and I'm very excited to present to you today the presentation on mindful mindset, gain control of your emotions, thoughts, and actions. And before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody can use the webinar panel and that it will not be obstructing the view of the presentation for you. So your webinar panel may look like the image on the left where it is expanded, or the image on the right where it is all closed up. So to open and close it, you click on the orange arrow and that will help you open or close the panel. You can also click anywhere on the top of the panel and then just drag it out of the way so it's not obstructing the view of the presentation. In the last 5 minutes of the webinar, I will have a Q&A session and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. To ask questions, just click on the gray questions bar and then type in your questions in the blue rectangle, and I will answer all of your questions at the end of the webinar. Now a little bit about me. Okay, so I am Miki Feldman-Simon. I am the founder of I'm Back at Work. I am a career and executive coach. I have over 25 years of experience as holding executive roles in a variety of fields: HR, recruiting, coaching, business development, and marketing. I have a BA in psychology and educational counseling and a master's in organizational behavior. I'm also a certified coach, and I am also a certified senior professional in human resources. I'm also a mother of two. I have a son, Arden, who turned 25 yesterday, and he is working towards being an avalanche forecaster. He lives in Salt Lake City, and avalanche forecasting was not a profession that I was aware of till not that long ago. My daughter, Sean, is 19, and she's studying in Montreal at McGill. I have taken multiple career breaks throughout my career to move continents, as you hear from my accent, to take care of my kids when they were young, to take care of my parents when they were older, and I've successfully returned to the workforce after each one of those breaks. I founded I'm Back at Work after watching other women struggle to return to work, and I'm very proud to say that through the platform, we've helped thousands of women regain their confidence and independence. And before we continue with the presentation, I am now going to turn my video camera off so that you can concentrate on the PowerPoint and not just watching me. Emotions do not happen to us. They are our responses to the stories we tell ourselves. Today, we're going to learn tools that will help us identify and control our emotions. When we are mindful, we create awareness. We are aware of the negative thoughts that we're having. We create different options to how we react to our feelings and to all those stories that we tell ourselves around them. We break the old cycles of our thoughts, the cycles of those old habits and behaviors. The first thing that I think is really important is that we need to accept that having negative thoughts is completely normal. Our brain was designed to detect danger. That's been critical for our survival throughout humanity, to seek out danger, take it in. Do you know how many thoughts we actually have a day? Take a guess. 60,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. Research also found that 95% of those thoughts are negative thoughts. That's a lot of negative thoughts. You can take a second now and actually write some of the negative thoughts, write them down, the ones that you're having, so that you can see as we go along and as I provide you with the different tools, on how to deal with those thoughts, you can try and think of those specific ones that usually you're dealing with. All these negative thoughts can be distracting. They diminish your confidence. They can lead to lethargy, to depression. So how do we not let them debilitate us? So the question is really, how do we deal with the negative thoughts? Do we let them take over us, diminish our confidence? Or how do we overcome them? Now, usually when we just try to suppress our thoughts, it only makes us think about them even more. Do this little experiment here with me, okay? So I want you all to please close your eyes for a moment, okay? Think of a white bear. I want you to think of the white bear as vividly as you can. Can you see its features? Do you see its snow white fur? Are its nostrils flaring? What color are its eyes? Is it lying down on an iceberg? Is it in a zoo? Is it fishing? Is it eating? Okay, now don't think about the white bear. I want you to think about anything else but the white bear. Well, most people can't stop but only think about the white bear. So the strategy of just telling yourself, don't think about the negative thoughts or anything that you're thinking about, does not work. Now we're going to try and look at what strategies actually do work. So when we're being mindful, what we're doing is we're creating awareness. We become aware of the negative thoughts that we're having, and we create different options to how we're going to react to them, how we're feeling, the stories we're creating around them, and we break the old cycles of the thoughts and behaviors. So when you feel like these emotions start taking over you, stop. Create a pause before you react. The stopping gives you space of mind to consider other options and choose more appropriate ones. When we stop, we can assess the initial feeling that we're feeling. So what are you actually feeling? Are you scared? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Maybe you're happy. What are you feeling? Try and name that feeling. Not the stories that you're telling yourself that you feel like you're a failure, you're not good, people are against you, etc. What is the actual feeling that you're feeling? It is very helpful to create that stop, that pause, by taking a deep breath. The deep breath returns our attention to the present moment. It's a really effective way to resetting and refocusing your mind and to understand how you're feeling at a certain moment. What we're doing again is we're breaking the previous thought patterns, the previous behaviors, the habits that we were just moving on automatic pilot. Do this with me now. It's helpful if you close your eyes. Do not close your eyes if you're driving. Inhale through the nose for a count of 4, then you're going to pause the breath at the top, and then exhale for a count of 4. Let's do this. Okay, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause at the top of your breath. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do this again. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very hard to do this and to talk. I don't know how yoga teachers do it. Pause at the top of your breath. Exhale through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try this. Repeat it a few times to recalibrate, like when you're feeling upset, overwhelmed. Take this pause, take the deep breath before you continue on. So we've taken the pause. What are we doing next? Okay, what tools can we use to deal with those negative thoughts? So one strategy that I love is to think of yourself as the CEO of your brain. You are the CEO of Minds Inc. So like the CEO of a company, that you can't control everything that happens inside the company or around it, market forces, competitors, etc. You can control what you focus on, what projects you're going to give resources, etc. The same way, think of yourself as the CEO of Minds Inc. So you can't control every thought that comes through your mind, but you can control which ones you're going to focus on. What do you want to allocate resource to? What do you want to think about more? So when the next thought comes to your mind, I want you to think, is this thought useful? If it's useful, what are you going to do about it? If it's not useful, we're not ignoring it. We've evaluated it and we decide what we're going to do about it. You've just come out of a job interview and you're thinking, I'm never going to get a job. Is that a useful thought? No. Could the interview have gone better? Yes. Okay, do I need to work on my interviewing skills? Yes. Okay, what am I going to do about that? But just to think that you're never going to get a job is not a useful thought. I want to tell you a little bit how I use this strategy in my experience. So in 2018, I turned 50. I wanted to get fit, and I also needed a new sense of achievement. So I think I needed to also renew that feeling that I really could do anything that I set my mind to. So I decided I had to set myself a very high goal, and I decided to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I am not an athlete. I was not fit. I have never really exercised too much. So I trained, I walked a lot, and you can see me here at the beginning of the trek. And it was very clear after we just got started on the mountain that I had not trained enough and that the physical challenge was way beyond my expectations. But I was determined. And on the day 6, okay, that's the day we hike to reach base camp, and that is the day where you actually climb to the summit. It was really, you start climbing at 11 o'clock at night. It was dark. It was very cold. You can see we're wearing headlights. I had 7 layers on top and 5 layers on the bottom. And I was feeling like there's no way that I could do this. A third way of that, on the way up, I am exhausted. I can't stop thinking that, what am I doing here? I'm not fit enough. I can't do this. And I can't stop thinking about how I'm going to get down. I haven't made it up to the top, but I'm thinking about how am I going to get down? And then I stopped and I realized that if I want to make it up to the top, any thought that I have around getting down, I'm not good enough, is not going to help me. Those thoughts are not useful. The only useful thoughts are the thoughts about how I'm going to take another step forward and how am I going to move myself up ahead. So you can see that this was more like an expedition than actually just a trek. I really set myself high goals, but I did make it to the top. And I have to tell you that at the end of the trek, my husband told me that he has new appreciation for my determination, because it really was an exercise for me of just mind over matter and not anything due to my physical ability. Let's just put it that way. Okay, The next strategy that I want to tell you about is reframing. So reframing is a technique that helps you take negative thoughts related to a problem and turn them into a positive solution. So for example, if you're feeling butterflies, let's say before, butterflies in your stomach before either, let's say you're walking in to do a presentation or you're walking into a networking meeting and you don't feel comfortable in being around strangers. So how do you interpret those butterflies in your stomach? Do you tell yourself that you're excited or do you tell yourself that you're anxious? What happens when you tell yourself that you're anxious? Okay, when you're anxious, all you can see is the negative outcomes, the negative possible outcomes. Nobody's going to want to talk to me. The presentation is going to suck. I am not going to do well at the interview. We're getting into a threatening mindset. But if we take the same physical feelings, because what are we feeling? We're feeling excitement. We're preparing for action. If we put a more positive interpretation on that, and we're actually feeling excited, then suddenly we're opening ourselves to the success, to the opportunities, to the jobs that may come from the interview, to the interesting people that you're going to meet there. So by reframing what we're feeling and changing that to a little bit more of the positive, we are now seeing opportunities rather than just seeing failure. In the same way, you can try it, instead of thinking I'm a mess, I'm human, I can't do this, I can do hard things, I'm a failure, I'm learning. Why is this happening? What is this teaching me? So there's a lot of things that we can learn just by making those little switches. Another little example here is this little story. So two people have quit smoking. They're offered a cigarette. One responds, I don't smoke. The other, I'm trying to quit. They both quit smoking. But who do you think is likely to stick with it? The one who said, I don't smoke, or the one who said, I'm trying to quit? So the language we choose really influences our actions, because if you're only trying to quit and you haven't already quit, the likelihood of you smoking is much higher. So I want you to think for a moment of what you're not or what you do not do, that you can change that little bit of language for you, that you'll stick with it. You don't text and drive. What else do you not do? You don't scream at your kids or your employees, etc. Try that reframing. In the same sense, there's also the question of what do you find that you are doing? So after my climb to Kilimanjaro, yes, a lot of the time people do it before they go climbing, I started running. And I always compared myself to my husband, who runs on a regular basis. He has his running buddies and they run marathons. And compared to them, I was not a runner. When I said to myself, I am not a runner, why should I go running? I was running 3 to 6 miles a few times a week, but I was telling myself that I'm not a runner. So when it was too hot outside or too cold or I was tired, it was very easy to not go running. But when I started telling myself that I am a runner, it was much easier to go out and to run because I'm a runner. I coach women who tell me that they're not techie, even though they have so much technical knowledge, but they're not an engineer. They're not a project manager because they don't have some sort of certification, but they've been managing projects for years. So I want you to think for yourself for a moment. What can you tell yourself that you are? I am what? That will help you stick with that, give you the confidence that you are doing it. The next technique that I want us to talk about is called an emotional audit. This is a great tool to help build self-awareness and self-management. So we take a deep breath. Remember, we're taking the breath, we're creating self-awareness, and then you want to ask yourself the following questions. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What do I want now? Okay, we're making a change. How am I getting in my way? And what do I need to do differently? Let me give you an example of a manager I was coaching. So he was presenting a big presentation to a group where some of his employees were in the group and also employees from other departments, and he worked really hard to put this presentation together. He asked his colleagues before the meeting to not be on the computers, not do emails while doing the meeting, so that he can concentrate on his presentation and basically feel that they're supporting him. A few moments into the meeting, he sees some people working on the computers. He loses it, he blows up on them, and he says, "What are you doing?" And he bursts out. At that moment, he looks unprofessional, not the team. So what could he have done differently? So using this emotional audit, if he asked himself, what am I thinking? I am thinking that, what are they doing? I already told them to put their computers away. Why are they being disrespectful? What am I feeling? I'm feeling frustrated with them. I can't believe this. What do I want? I want them to put the computers away. I want them to support me. I want them to be professional. How am I getting in my own way? I am fuming and not calming myself down. I'm ready to pounce on them. So what can I do differently? Take that deep breath, okay? And there's a few options of what he could have done. He could have nicely said, could you put your computers away? He could have walked over there. Even just standing next to them likely would have made them put their computers away, because they would have seen that he notices it. He could have also asked the question, did something urgent come up? Should we reschedule the presentation? And then they would have asked themselves, oh, is this really urgent? Oh, no, I'm probably being disrespectful and I should stop doing my email. I can also give you another example, let's say, of how I use this on my climb in Kilimanjaro. Again, when I was struggling, I asked myself, what am I thinking? I'm thinking I'm no good at this. I'm not going to make it. What am I feeling? I was feeling tired. I was feeling scared. What do I want now? I wanted to get to the summit. I really wanted to make it up there. How am I getting in my way? I was getting in my way by thinking about the getting down and jumping 10 steps forward, but all I needed to think about is how am I going to take the next few steps? So what I needed to do differently is focus on the moment and what I can do now. The next strategy that I want us to talk about is distraction. So we're very good usually as parents, as sitters, to distract our kids. They're crying, they're having a tantrum, we give them a toy, they want one toy, we give them another toy, and we distract them, we get them out of that bad mood of whatever funk that they're in. And we can do the same for ourselves. What I suggest is that you, first of all, try and think, what is it that helps you get distracted? And by the way, often the more you have to concentrate in something, the more distracted that you're going to be, the more helpful that it is. Try and come up with a list of the things that help you. And it's different for different people, whether it is going running, getting together with a friend for coffee, cooking. I can tell you I can't spend more than like 30-60 minutes in the kitchen, because then the frustration kicks in. What are the different things that you can do? For me, getting outside is always a good start. Going for a walk with my dogs, with a friend when one is available, going for a run, listening to music, rainy, a snowy day, a good book, a good movie. Spend some time putting the list together. It's important to put the list together when you're feeling good, so that when you are down, you can just go back, look at that list and say, oh, okay, these are the things that I can do. And try and think about things that you can do yourself, outside, inside, things you can do with friends, in different situations, what is going to help you? And what are the things that you can really immerse yourself in? Even is there a song that once you hear that song, that's it? You know, something in your body changes and your whole feelings, it just takes you out of that funk. It's also helpful to share that list with a friend so that when you're talking to them, you're down, they can say, hey, I have a friend, she'll say to me, Miki, you know, you sound a little bit stressed. Why don't you start a new knitting project? So put that list together and think of all the different things that help you when you're feeling down. So the next time when you have negative thoughts, take a deep breath. Try the breathing exercises that we talked about. When you're feeling that overwhelm, stress, like you're about to not behave the way that you want, you're going down a cycle that you want to come out of. Identify what you're feeling and separate those feelings from the stories that you're telling yourself around those feelings. Try practicing the emotional audit, reframing, being the CEO of your mind. Make a list of the distractions that help you refocus. Be mindful. Listen to your thoughts, and I encourage you to try the different strategies, see what works for you, and keep in mind that some may work for you in some situations, some may work for you in others. Try the different ones. Watch your thoughts. They become your words, and your words become your actions. Take steps to change your thoughts, your words, your actions, so you can build new habits, new character, and create the destiny that you want. And now I will open the presentation to questions. And while you ask questions, I also want to invite you to join our Facebook group. It is a women's only Facebook group where we support each other, and I provide different tools, tricks, and suggestions on a regular basis. So one question, Kelly's asking, can you recommend some good reading material to support these ideas? I love these tools, but want to work on them more. Definitely, Kelly. I think there's all different books. Some of my favorites are from Marshall Goldsmith has a great book called Triggers. And the Triggers talks about what are these things that trigger you to behave in different ways. So that is one book that I really like. Some of the books, even like Rachel Hollis and the books like Wash Your Face, I'm trying to think of the full name of it, and Mel Robbins, some of those books are great to listen to as well. And from each one of them, you can gather a few tools that will help you gather a few more strategies. I read different blogs on this as well that I follow. Download apps about mindfulness. I really suggest that as well. If you have an Apple Watch, I love my app that just prompts me to breathe, to take in a deep breath. I love the concept of saying to myself, I am instead of I'm not. I often think we fill in the blank based on what we think other people think we are. How can we avoid taking on the idea of what other people think we are? Again, a great question. And I think that it comes back to taking the deep breath and asking yourself what you think. And I think also I gave the example of my husband's running friends compared to them, and for them I was not a runner. But you know what? I am running, and I don't need to compare myself to them and to what they think. Try and think and be true to yourself, to think about what you think and not what other people are telling you. Is that what you believe in? Do you think that you are that person? Sometimes it's looking at facts. So when I said to myself, I'm not a runner, but I looked, I was tracking my running and I was running a few times a week. There were facts to show that, yes, I am a runner. Whether it is, I am a coach. I coach people on a regular basis, okay? So I think that looking at facts, asking yourself what you believe in, and sometimes there's people we should not listen to as well. What other questions? This is your opportunity to ask other questions. Okay, well, it looks like, I hope I didn't overwhelm you too much with all this information and all these many strategies. I hope you try them all, and feel free to reach out to me if you need more coaching or you have any more questions. My email is on here on the screen. I do also offer free 30-minute consultations, so feel free to reach out to me anytime. Try all these different strategies, see what helps you in different situations at different times. Thank you, everyone.